All right, so we are rolling. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is a special day. We're going to be celebrating 3 years of business with REI Genius, changing lives through real estate. And really, today's focus is really casting the vision for the next 3 years. One of the big things that I am huge and really engaged on is one, goal setting, and then setting the vision, setting the tone for the next year. And one of the things that I've really been focused on is setting it when we talk about strategic planning, really looking 3 years, 5 years in the future on where we are as a company, how we position ourselves, and how are we showing up in the marketplace, how are we serving our clients when it comes to real estate education and overall alternative investment education. So today I am extremely excited to really talk through where are we going. Last week we kind of went through, well, I think it was 2 weeks ago, talked through the gratitude as we were leading up and coming out of Thanksgiving, just the gratefulness with the lives that we've been able to impact over the last 3 years, um, just the successes, with the followings. Here most recently in Alabama on our Facebook group, we surpassed 10,000 followers there for our real estate investor group there. But then also we surpassed 10,000 followers on LinkedIn. And really, it's a testament, I would say, to not necessarily always being the best, but being consistent and always leaning forward on adding value. And I think that has been one thing that I have really been particular about, is making sure that we are providing information and access to information for those that are serious about changing their financial well-being, improving when it comes to professional development, investing development, and really giving the tools and strategies to build wealth. Whether someone decides to take action or not is completely up to them, but we're putting the information out there, especially in a way, in a format where it's successful. So today, I really want to dive into where we are going as a company in regards to REI Genius and the 3 year vision. I'm gonna make this a little bit larger. There we go. And where you make sure everyone can see it, especially if you're on your mobile. But really going through the 3 year vision. So really from a strategic perspective on how we're showing up for our current members, to kind of give you all a insight into kind of the vision and where we're going and how you can orient and what you can expect going forward. If you've been on the fence, if you're not a member yet, and thinking about joining the community, then understanding, okay, this is where we're going, and do you see yourself as part of this community, or see yourself as part of this movement, in seeing us as a catalyst to your investing success. And so I think at the end of the day, our vision and mission is really building wealth and financial security through curated real estate education, commercial data, talk a little bit about that one, and extraordinary community. But the big thing is clear vision, confident learning, and continuous growth at your pace and at the focus level that you want to participate. And we're going to do that. But I think at the end of the day, when you look at an organization, when you look at a community, it's like, what do we want the identity to be with REI Genius? And I think when I think about where we are as a community, that I want this to be a hub or a place where elite investors thrive, not just regular investors, but elite investors thrive. That investors that are serious about uh, being able to champion whatever it is that they're focused on when it comes to alternative investments. If you're in this space, I'm gonna think real estate should be that. But overall, just how to build diversification into their portfolio and how they show up. But how we do that, our REI Genius mission, and before we have a great veteran presence, but it's really to curate world-class real estate education opportunities exclusively for professionals and accredited investors who demand excellence, integrity, and results. We're built on trust, transparency, and shared commitment to building lasting wealth while strengthening what matters most: family, relationships, and legacy. I think one of the things that so often happens, and I've been in organizations, I've been in mastermind groups where they focus strictly on real estate or focus on a individual topic. But as you talk to people, as you have conversations, and I would say, when we initially started REI Genius 3 years ago, we weren't at a holistic level and a holistic concept on how we showed up and how we served clients. But one of the things that I soon learned was, and I saw it in my own life, where a lot of people were chasing real estate goals, but everything else when it comes to relationships and health and just outside of just real estate, but they weren't getting a corporate match with their 401k at work, or they weren't budgeting, or they weren't saving. And so there were a lot of other bad habits or habits that were incompatible with finding true success in life outside of just real estate. And so that was something that convicted me that we need to look at this from a holistic perspective when we start talking about building wealth, where real estate is a piece of it, but there are other things in regards to personal finance, to the relationships that we have, and of course our families with everything that we do. And being able to serve and meet the needs in each one of those three categories of pillars is something that we are intentional about, and how we show up with the education, but then also the opportunities and the workshops and everything is built around the whole holistic investor concept. So at the end of the day, step by step, you were going together. The adage is that you can go fast by yourself, but you want to go far, you can go together. But I think that the big thing is here that we want to learn well, we want to think well, and we want to move well at your own pace. Because the thing is that you don't want to over accelerate your pace, and you end up where you're tired or you have to stop because you didn't have the right pace. You're trying to go at someone else's pace. But I think we're set up in a way where you can go and execute this at your own individual pace. So the vision, as we're going over the next 3 years, the vision is to grow to over 1,000 professionals and accredited investors that's united on a common front. And so that's sharing values and ambition, but at the same time building meaningful relationships rooted in integrity, collaboration, and mutual success. There's more. I am an abundance mindset, and there's more than enough for everyone to win working together. And then I think what separates us from other organizations is the exclusive investor education, the mentorship, access to off-market multifamily data opportunities, but then also the member-only events where you really can foster and build those true relationships. And a lot of times I've been in organizations where it's all education. You get it or you don't get it. No one really cares. They give you the information. If you use it, so oh well. If it works, if this is strategy, that is a lot of times it's focused on wholesaling, fix and flip, only multifamily. And I think that a lot of times that works if that's your strategy. But a lot of times people don't know what's the best strategy for them without really digging in and learning and being in an environment where they can really dive in on the strategies and understand what's applicable to them, what would be the best solution for them. And I think that's one of the pieces that we really work through with being able to make sure that the information is there in a way where you can understand the strategy that you need, and then the tools in place to execute on that strategy once you decide how you're moving forward. But I think the big thing is being able to connect with your own with peers, compare perspectives, and then cultivate those smart conversations. I'm bringing a lot of people in my network in the room. Individuals that are sponsoring large multi-$100 million deals. I had a conversation yesterday with a representative from one of the firms that I'm working with, where they have a $72 million apartment under contract that their first property that they're buying in their new fund, where they're raising well over 150 million. And so the things is like, how do you evaluate the deal? How do you do due diligence? How do you understand? How do you make the returns happen in that type of deal? And so those are the different opportunities and things that we're going to be sharing, that we're going to be doing case studies on, understanding these type of opportunities. But then also when we start talking about commercial data, with now the organization with us having CoStar and data access to all the commercial real estate data, not only multifamily, but self-storage, office, retail. When we start looking at triple net lease opportunities, self-storage opportunities across the United States, that now there's access to a lot of data where you can make decisions, informed decisions, intelligent decisions based off the information that you have. And so that's one of the great things that I think we're really we're going to narrow in on and focus, where we're not just learning for learning's sake, because I always say education without execution is entertainment. Say it again: education without execution is entertainment, and we're all about taking action in REI Genius. But I think at the end of the day, we're really looking to bring this environment together to facilitate growth. And so outcomes that strengthen investor understanding. So over the next 3 years, the goal is to come up to, educational capital placement, where we're looking at supporting investors with the resources where they can become a better steward of their own resources that they have. With being able to align in their independent deals, over $10 million a year, across the community. But then from that, 100% self-directed IRA qualified funds education. I think over the next 3 years, 100%, this is going to be the game changer with educating individuals on how they can take back control of their qualified retirement plans from a previous employer or a current employer, and setting up these self-directed IRAs in a way where they can take back control of their investments, understanding the strategies and how you can level up. One of the strategies I talked about a couple of weeks ago, when we look back on where we've come over the last 3 years, was the simple process of taking 200,000, buying $1 million apartment in your self-directed IRA. Now with that $200,000 investment, you're bringing in $5,000 a month in cash flow. That goes to your IRA every month. That's $60,000 in income every year. Over 10 years, 10 times 60 is 600,000 of passive income coming into your retirement account. So 600,000. And now that $1 million apartment that you bought, you put $200,000 down. The bank gave you 800, gave your IRA $800,000 for the rest of the purchase price. And now that apartment, say it went up 4% a year for 10 years. Now it's worth 40% more. So now it's worth 1.4 million. You sell that property. So you sell it for 1.4 million. We're going to just say you netted 1.3 off the fees and everything. So now you had a loan for 800,000 because you put 200,000 down. So 1.3 minus 800,000 is 500,000. So now that $500,000 profit goes to your self-directed IRA, tax deferred. If it's in the Roth, guess what? No taxes at all. And now you have 600,000 from the cash flow over the last 10 years. And now you have 500,000 from the sale. That's 1.1 million that you've been able to bring your self-directed IRA to in 10 years, just when you started with a $200,000 investment. There's not too many places that you can do that, but that's the power of leverage and using the retirement accounts, deferring taxes, and being able to build wealth. And so those are the strategies that we're breaking down, and helping clients understand how they can level up and you become a better steward of the resources that they all have right now. Right now, there's over $2 trillion in previous employer retirement accounts across the United States. The Department of Labor has a website where you can go and search and see from a previous job that you worked at if the employer, you still have retirement money with them. So that's something definitely that will be tapped into over the next 3 years. And then 1031 tax smart solutions with just understanding as you level up, as you grow from single family rentals and or fixing flips and going into more larger deals, that how you can leverage the 1031 exchanges with deferring capital gains taxes and just continue to level up smartly when it comes to investing. But really, what sets us apart at the end of the day, where the rubber meets the road, is the premium multifamily education backed by real-time commercial data. And so the thing is, over the last 5 years, I've been blessed to buy 5 apartment complexes between Panama City, Montgomery, Alabama, and just the 5 years of execution of asset management, the ups and downs, where I would say, you have the business plan, but the business plan doesn't always go as planned, with firing property management company, hiring new property management companies, having losses from vandalism and having failed insurance claim, um, um, insurance claims where taking a $200,000 loss and understanding how do you recover from that? How do you bring on new investors to raise capital for those deals to recover, and understanding how to, navigate a space when you're doing a refinance and the bank changes the loan amount 2 weeks before closing and they reduce your loan by $250,000. How do you do that? How do you recover, when it takes all your capital reserves? And so going through those strategies and bringing all of this experience over the last 5 years, and not only myself, but other operators as well, and really getting that multifamily education that's backed by true operations and experience and real-time data on how we can bring in more assets to our portfolios. Because one of the things that's happening right now, I look back across all the deals that I've done, there's a common thing. They were older and they were up in age in life. They were self-managing. They were looking to retire. They were done with it. They retired, and there was deferred maintenance. They hadn't kept up with market rent. All those drive opportunities. And so now we have access to data across the United States to repeat that, not only for the multifamily asset class, but for self-storage, for retail triple net leases for buildings. As the silver tsunami happens and more baby boomers retire that have been self-managing and being landlords, and their families don't want to keep these assets, presents an enormous amount of opportunity and wealth transfer over the next coming decade. And that's what we're driving to, all backed by real commercial data, building relationships with brokers, building relationships with owners in order to make win-win real estate deals happen each and every day. But we're driving that. I talked a little bit about the focus education on self-directed IRAs and those wealth building strategies. Being able to take advantage of tax efficient strategies. The big beautiful bill just brought back 100% bonus depreciation, where it allows you to write off, bring in 5 and 15 year um, lifespan materials that you have, improvements to the building in the tax code. Instead of depreciating everything over 27 and a half years for multifamily, you're able to accelerate anything that has a depreciation life less than 15 years. You can bring all that depreciation to the very first year and write it off. And it's an enormous vehicle to use to defer taxes, and just the strategies around that and how that allows you to build wealth. Because when you start looking at, I'm in Virginia, so we start talking about personal property tax, sales tax, you have state tax, you got federal income tax, and you got taxes on your food, and everything else is like your gasoline taxes. And when you start looking at how much you pay taxes in life, your property tax, that it's a lot of money. So where you can be strategic on how you can defer taxes or completely eliminate taxes is going to allow you to keep more money in your pocket that you can deploy and invest that starts working harder for you. And so you can slow down on how soon, won't slow down, but you can accelerate how soon you can stop having to trade your time for money. And at the end of the day, educational content on underwriting, how to put these deals together, how to finance them, but then also how to execute the operations, and then just the execution at the end of the day and bringing it all together. But I think, when it really comes down to it and understanding at the end of the day, you have to look at holistically your situation and how you could bring all this education together, how you could bring the community together, how you could bring the conversations together. And one of the big things that we're doing to make this happen, we're bringing strategic partnerships in, on the education side, but then also on real estate professionals. When we start talking about 1031s, when we start talking about IRAs, I operate as an advisor on the alternative investment side, and I bring that expertise. But then also operators doing, large institutional funds, and bringing all these resources to bear in order to help you build wealth at the end of the day is the ultimate goal. So events and opportunities. One of the things that, now that I have time that I'm retired from the Air Force, quarterly investor summits. So we're going to be looking at launching signature events to bring the top sponsors in person, emerging opportunities, but then also being able to bring in the deal flow and what that looks like as well to clients on a quarterly basis. I think the first one we're looking at and planning is around the annual commercial real estate conference in Birmingham, Alabama, that kind of dives into commercial real estate as a whole across the state of Alabama. So we'll look to piggyback on that event, attend that one-day event, usually on a Thursday, then that Friday, look to have a separate event where we're focused on the community and maybe get down to my apartment complexes there in Montgomery and kind of center something around that. So that one's coming up in February, probably, I think it's usually the third week of February that we'll look to put that together. So more to come out on that soon. And then following from there with local events here in the DC area as well too. Annual couples retreat. This is one that for the community that has been on the fence, we got to plan it out. My wife doesn't really know she's going to be on the hook. We're really helping with that one, but really focusing and having the couples out of it. Because I would tell you, as an investor, and everything that I've built with the companies would not have happened without my wife, and being able to lead this business and having a team concept with the couple side. So being able to launch a couples retreat is definitely important, and being able to, one, help foster those relationships and strengthen those connections in that area as well too. Monthly workshops. We're going to definitely continue to get it in when it comes to the workshops, the education, that side of it. We're bringing in the right people that are informing on the strategies, what's working out there, what's happening behind the scenes, what is the data telling us, live deal analysis and case studies, and then just really to have it, bringing in those direct expert sessions, and then the community calls with the constant touch points with myself, spotlighting success across the community and learning from other members, allowing them to share what their unique strategies and what the things that they're working on in their market, and then just continue to have those collaborative learning opportunities across the board. But the thing is, education opens doors. Discussion is what's going to sharpen those decisions And then dialogue drives learning. And all of that learning is going to drive your action and how you show up every day. Leadership, leadership, leadership. One of the things that a lot of times we take for granted in organizations is the leadership and setting the tone for the community, setting the tone for success and the accomplishments of the organization. And so leadership is definitely at the heart of our community. I have great experience, 20 years Air Force, acquisitions, deployments, intelligence, operations, national security, managing $1 billion software development contract, dozens and dozens of fix and flip deals and buying apartment complexes, managing apartments. And so with that, I bring a lot of experience, but there's also others that bring experience and leadership and expertise where it's not all on me. That really, the hallmark of this is being able to have a flat organization, but then also being able to align with others that may have an opportunity and having a deal, giving them the tools to be successful, but then also giving them the platform inside the community where they can shine and bring their expertise as well too. And so that's something that we're committed to around success. But the thing is really to making sure that we have people that are serious about investing and being able to bring in the right resources and really to be a facilitator and being able to help navigate the space and bring everything that you need, all the resources inside the community in order to build wealth at the end of the day. And so I think when you think about it, that leadership leads into the education and drive it, but also it brings in the clarity and the communication and not necessarily direction. But it's going to give you the tools that you need, the education, the clarity, the focus that you need in the communication, and then give you the free reign to see how you want to implement that in your own life and how you want to execute that at the end of the day. And then the big thing with the community is the shared journey and being making sure that you're never moving out alone, that we always have your six, that we're going to be transparent, we're going to have the open discussions and be right here in order to give you that real life feedback where you can make decisions at the speed of deal making as it happens. And so that's going to be instrumental to success. And at the end of the day, impact and legacy, one of the things, the goal is over the next 3 years for not just myself, but then across the organization with over $1 million in charitable impact, we're giving back to communities through strategic philanthropy and meaningful partnerships, but then also strengthen families, creating the financial freedom that allows members to prioritize what truly matters. And for me, it's family and the relationships and building those authentic relationships. And then at the end of the day, building the generational wealth. So building that lasting legacy that's going to survive past me and past my generation to those that are coming behind me. And I think the true success, when you look at it, it's not about a dollar figure, but it's about the impact that we have on the lives of those that we lead, that we've been blessed with to be steward over, but then also to impact the community on a daily basis. And so at the end of the day, the impact grows from intention, learn deeply, decide thoughtfully, and act responsibly at the end of the day with how we showing up. And for like me, for the personal vision, now that I'm retired Air Force, leading the community, operating as an advisor, the big thing is pouring back into those that are paramount at the top of the food chain when it comes to I'm serving. So having a thriving marriage. So financial success that's going to bring, that closer relationship with my wife, my kids, and continue to grow. But then also being able to have those global experiences. One of the events that we're looking at attending is the Global Investor Conference in Dubai in April. I think it's April 12th through the 15th. That's another, but being able to get out global experiences. You guys already know I have a global team. Shout out to Faye, my director of operations. She's in the Philippines. And then on the social media management side, Mav, she's in Dubai. And so being able to have those global experiences, explore the diverse cultures, and then create those unforgettable memories, all with doing life with those that are on the same wavelength, that have the same values, that have the same goals as you. And then at the end of the day, of course, family first, a life where financial independence allows the family to be the top priority. And that's going to drive that personal vision, because at the end of the day, when the vision aligns with your values, learning becomes a journey and not a race. Because so many times we'll trade success for the relationships, for our families, because we're chasing a number, we're chasing a goal, we're chasing a corporate C-suite position. And then 10, 20, 30 years down the line, we look back and realize that it was the relationships that really mattered. It was those things that were free in life, the love, the peace, the joy, the contentment that we lost because we were chasing a dollar figure to only get there and be there alone and not have that fulfillment that we were seeking all along the same time. And so I think really being able to align our values with everything that we're doing with our habits is going to give us that true success and fulfillment in everything that we're going, and really allow us to tap into our true genius. So kind of that 3 year snapshot. So 1,000 active genius members inside the community, the 10 million of student capital invested independently, executed deals with being able to drive that wealth creation, signature events year round that we're going to have, whether it's the quarterly summits, annual retreat, the monthly touch points, the charitable giving. I think, my goal is to make REI Genius a brand synonymous with trust, excellence, and transformative results in our members' lives. And then to strengthen families and legacies, members living with freedom, purpose, and generational wealth that's going to be secured, and really drive home that purpose. Because, the snapshot, this at the end of the day, it's not a promise, but it's a picture of where we're growing in education and in community at the same time. And then we're looking at the future, that in 3 years, REI Genius, we're going to stand as the premier community for investors, accredited investors seeking extraordinary real estate opportunities, but not really just only real estate opportunities, but wealth building opportunities, the meaningful relationships and the lasting impacts at the end of the day. That because we're building more than wealth, we're creating freedom, strengthening families, and leaving legacies that truly matter. And at the end of the day, that the future begins with learning, and learning begins with better questions. And so at the end of the day, we're all going to do this together with those that are on the like mind and at the same time. So welcome to the future, and welcome to REI Genius. I'm excited for 2026 and where we're going over the next 3 years and everything that we're building. And hopefully you guys see yourself aligned with the mission, with the values, where we're going. And it's going to be up from here. And so with that, I'll open up, for any questions. I think we may have some questions. I was in presenter mode. Let's see what we have here. We'll remove those. So do you help with financial planning as well? Yep. So that's something that I'm looking to add into 2026 on the financial planning side, officially where we're doing the comprehensive financial planning. So, yep. So that'll be something that we can help you with on that end with the planning. Love the clarity. No, most definitely. That's what this is all about, is really, when you start looking at your life, and you guys should do kind of lay out the vision for your life for the next 3 years, not just from your business perspective, but where do you want to be 3 years from now? Where is that vision, and how are you going to align yourself to make that happen at the end of the day, is what the goal is. Any questions? No, good stuff. Good stuff. I see we got some participation there from YouTube. Let's see. Any other questions? Private chat. All right. Well, that's what I wanted to kind of have. Sherelle said, great vision, great roadmap. Thank you for what's coming next in the community. Yes, yes, yes. This is for not just for me, but for each and every one of you guys, and what we're doing, and how we're moving out. You mentioned about the lead data. Do members get access to this as well? How much leads access to Ohio? No, great question. So yeah, so we're still working through how that's showing up, but on the lead list. But yeah, we have national access to multifamily data within the community. So yeah, so there's opportunities to collaborate on that as well, and get the information that you need to leads in Ohio for sure, and what it is out there, depending on what asset class that you want to focus in on. Yep, great question. I don't see any other questions. That's all I really had today for you all, really, to give you, cast a vision, put it out there, let you guys know the movement, where we're going, what we're doing. And if it aligns with you, definitely get on my calendar, book a call. Would love to kind of understand your goals, what you're looking to accomplish, and see how REI Genius can serve you in what we're doing. Do you help achieve accredited investor status? Yeah, so that's a great question. So accredited investor status. So accredited investor. So the definition by the SEC for accredited investors is one, you've made $200,000 if you're a single individual the last 2 years, and you have the um, reasonable you have reasonable information that you're going to make that going into the future. Or if you're a couple that you made $300,000 the last 2 years, and you can reasonably expect to make the same amount going into the next year, or you have $1 million net worth. So that's kind of how you get there. But one of the cool things I learned over the last few months, there's different ways for my veterans to get there. So if you're military and you have a retirement pension, that you can get your CPA, you can annuitize that monthly check that you get. So if you do a life expectancy to 75 and you're 50, so if you're getting $5,500 a month for the rest of your life, so you can annuitize that $5,500 a month for the next 25 years, and it gives you a value. And a lot of times that's gonna push you over that $1 million net worth when you annuitize that monthly pension. And the same thing if you have disability from the VA, same thing. That monthly payment, you can annuitize it for your lifespan and have a value. So for like my military members that are retired and they have some form of disability, you can combine their income and annuitize it and really look at the net present value of that money, that income stream, and that's going to be more than enough to bring you over that $1 million net worth. So no, great question. So there's some ways. So that's kind of how to look at it. With the income, and I think a lot of this that when you start talking about this within REI Genius too, that we're going to have an entrepreneurial hub as well too, where business owners, where you're going to be talking about, hey, some of the challenges, how you're hiring, how do you have a VA, how do you onboard virtual assistants, how do you lead your business, how do you manage the KPIs, all that information there, you kind of the exchange and behind the scenes where with me even showing you guys how I manage my assets, with going in and bring it up like my investor portal with the property management company. So I can go in and show you guys when I have my weekly meetings with my property manager, the data that I'm looking at to make decisions and, to kind of hold their feet to the fire because I'm measuring performance on a weekly basis. And how to do investor upstate, investor relations. That's one of the biggest things I would tell you, the investor relations side that I've been able to work on and improve with just having so now being a one man show in a lot of regards with being the hands on side of it and not having as much time as I needed. And so that's one that I'm really looking forward to with kind of building that out, the investor relations side and that with the community. But the credit investor status is definitely one that you can aspire to. But I was going with that to say on the entrepreneur side, we all got to look at what our skill set is, what our talents, and how we can increase our income. Because guess what? You can't be an investor if you don't have money to invest. Say it again. You can't be an investor if you don't have money to invest. And so being able to have that personal finance, understand your skill set, how you can create businesses or how you can take your business to the next level to drive more revenue, to drive more income, and allow you to have more discretionary income for investing is part of it as well too. And that's going to be something that's built out as well, because you're going to have high level individuals in here that are building companies that are great employees, but they may want to look at how do I become a consultant? How do I take my skill set and show up in the marketplace to add value to others? So that's something that I continue to build out. Do you do anything with dual citizenship in order to purchase properties in other countries? That's a great one. I don't, but I think that's something that I think that's something that we're going to continue to grow out. I know I've had a couple conversations with individuals from Dubai. Matter of fact, my wife presented something. There's a Dubai real estate showcase in DC this weekend that we're going to as part of our date night. So quick, funny story. So DC they have this huge reef, mistletoe, and they're trying to break the Guinness Book of Records for couples that are kissing under the mistletoe at one time. I think it's like 450 or something. So we're doing that this weekend. But she found early in the day that there's a Dubai real estate show that's happening in DC that we're going to. So I think yes, the dual citizenship, that's something I'm looking at. We've been looking at Portugal, potentially Spain, for opportunities for dual citizenship in the next few years. And so I think that's something definitely continue to figure out, bring in the right people. And the thing is, like what I've learned that with all this stuff with building wealth and investing, buying these apartments and building businesses, And at the end of the day, it's not how, it's who. I'm gonna say it again. It's not how, it's who. Because at a lot of times you can be sitting here. It's no need to sit here and try to figure this stuff out by yourself. It's all about who and who allows you to go fast. Because it's relationships, people that already have done it before, bringing them in, learning their experience. I was having a conversation 2 weeks ago, right after Thanksgiving, with a neighbor. He's a CEO for an HR company. He's an Army veteran, and him and his wife, they're moving to Spain next year, and he's working out right now, building the infrastructure, the right hires, where he can step away from his business that provides talent to federal agencies, provide HR support and individuals, and they're moving to Spain. He had did a lot of time overseas in Europe during his military time, and they were like, "Hey, we built this business. We're going to bring in some key hires and put a board together." Then they're moving to Spain, and so I think a lot of people are thinking differently now about the dual citizenship and the opportunities abroad. And I think Dubai is um, a great example of that. Just a lot of with the dual citizenships, the new growth, the investing that's happening there, and so that's for me that I'm definitely one that's continuing to grow and look at how I can take part of that and just those experiences and traveling global and being a global investor. So most definitely, and I know we have Mr. Daryl Deloach, who's based out of Orlando, who's a global brand ambassador for the city of Orlando. And so he was on a couple panels at the Dubai Real Estate Conference last year, which is how I even know about it. And, and so my director of operations, Faye, she was there. She had to experience that event last year. And that's how I know about that. And so he's doing things with bringing in global investments into Orlando right now. And so really the world is really flat now. At no other point in time have we been more connected. And so I'm excited about the future and what that looks like with the REI Genius, with our international footprint and bringing in, different opportunities. I've reviewed a couple of videos with couples that are, left the United States, that are living abroad and just thriving and the lifestyle that they have. So definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm doing a lot of reviewing videos. I had to review one today. Is extremely sad, but that really kind of hits home on the importance of investing. That there was a documentary done, I think it was on 4 or 5, 80-year-olds that are still working. They're in their 80s and still having to work. And, they were sharing their life journey and, the regrets. One was an engineer, and he just talked about how he robbed his 401k repeatedly in between job losses. And he didn't invest like he should have. He didn't have a financial plan. Somebody asked about financial planning. Another lady, she's 84, was driving for Uber right now today and was just sharing her story. She wished she had went to school, got an education. Wish she had took investing serious, even just putting $25 back a day, a month type of situation. Where that's where we don't want to be at. Is it a situation? Thank God their health is allowing them to get around, but like some complain about being on their feet all day and just having to work multiple jobs in their 80s, and that shouldn't be anything, hopefully, that we're not aspiring to be to have happen. And it's only going to get worse with inflation is not going away. It's only going to get worse. You guys see it every day when you go out here shopping, and the last thing that you want to do is be in a position where you having to count money and decide on making decisions on whether or not you're going to eat today or not, or you're going to have to eat what's on sale at the grocery store. And I'm a true believer that the food that we're getting that's being put in the grocery stores is killing people. The food is literally killing people. And I personally, over the last 6 months, have made health changes with, doing more intermittent fasting on a daily basis and eating more whole foods and not eating a lot of processed foods, sugars, and things like that, where it, it makes a huge difference in being able to make sure you have the right supplements for your body's in true peak performance and taking advantage of the gym. So all these things are locked. You have to get locked in across the board. So a lot of great things that's coming. My man said, "Oh, what's up, Sean?" Sean said he's looking at dual citizenship in Ghana, in Guyana in South America. Okay, all right, all right. South America. I know a couple of people that's looking at different areas in South America, and I think it's opportunities across the board. Whether it's Europe, South America, Southeast Asia, there's there's a lot of places, and especially a lot of places where the U.S. dollar goes a long way still. So, but yeah, that's where we're going. That's what we're getting to, and yeah, Click the link to learn more. The school community, SKOOL.com, to join the community. It's $97 a month or $9.97 for the year. You kind of figure out what aligns with you more and be on the lookout for all these different events. We're getting together. And if you're serious about investing, we would love to have you in the community and share this with somebody. This is a place of abundance. Share this with other people. Other individuals that are serious about building wealth, that need the information to learn how to build wealth and take back control of their finances. I think that's everybody today. But you may know people that are filthy rich that don't need to learn more about investing. But feel free to share this with someone and book your call. We'll have a conversation with me. Let me know what your goals are. Let me know that you signed up in the community. I know we had 3 people signed up this week. I went live in the community yesterday and just congratulating them, introducing them for what I've heard from them and what they've shared on what their goals are when it comes to investing in real estate. So definitely come into the community because there's a lot behind the scenes that you guys don't see that's happening in there that I'm just not putting out on social media. That's not going out live. So get inside the community, and we're gonna do big things the next 3 years, and definitely in 2026 together. So I'll see you guys on the inside. Let's go. Let's make some equity happen.